So hello good people of the internet, this is Tommy Kelly and this is the Tommy Kelly podcast. Yet again trying this video thing out to see how it goes. What I have found is that it makes me slightly more, not paranoid, but more aware because I use my notes. And when you're doing it with just recording, you can kind of make it look like you're doing it more off the top of your head because you can't see. I don't read like an old person, but you can see that you're reading and stuff like that. So it just makes me a bit more aware of myself. So it is what it is. Which interestingly brings me to the topic of this podcast, which is about criticism. And it's about giving, taking, and criticism in general in regards to art or creativity. So let's get into that. So this all came about because a friend of mine on Facebook, after I posted up earlier in the week my photographs that I was entering into the competition in the Dundalk Photography Society next week. I'm just learning photography. It's all kind of new to me. I just got my first camera in July, this one here that's in front of me, and I got it mostly as a hobby, something that I would enjoy, something that would be a new creative outlet, all of those things that I've talked about before. So I put these up, and I just put them up. It's to have a sense of completion. That's it. It's done. It's out of the way. You know, people like them. They like them. If they don't like them, they don't like them. But so I got some feedback, some criticism or stuff from a friend of mine, and I said, "This is good. This will be an interesting thing to talk about." And it's interesting in that how my opinion has changed about criticism over the years, and how I approach it, and how I how I receive it or whatever. And the first thing I want to say about criticism is there kind of feels like there's an obligation on the person who is receiving the criticism to take it, whether or not it's good criticism or not, because it's like the onus is on the creative person to take on board what other people say. And I kind of issue with that because why? Why is the onus on the person to graciously be told, that this is, whatever's wrong with your thing? Because no one might be wrong. It's just opinion. It's someone's opinion. And that's all criticism can ever really be, unless something is like ridiculously bad. And then there's all things being equal, it's just opinion. And that took me a long while to realize that just because someone said something or pointed something out to you, their opinion or their ideas shouldn't have more weight in your mind than your own as a creative individual. And it's very hard to respond to someone who's given you some sort of criticism, for want of a better word, without sounding like you're being negative or defensive or, someone who can't take criticism or a horrible person or whatever it is. It's like if someone goes, "You've done a guitar solo," and you record a guitar solo, and you're happy with it. You're happy with it. This is the thing. If you're happy with it, if you're content with it, if you think it's a good representation of your soul as a creative person, if you think it's shit, then this is a different story. But if you give it and someone then says, "Well, over that G chord, you really should have been playing, I don't know, Lydian rather than, you're playing Mixolydian," or whatever it is. And that, my response to that is, okay, that's your opinion. You go and make your own song. You go and do your own guitar solo and do that. Because that's how you want to express yourself. I want to express myself with Lydian over G. So one of the things that my friend had said to me, as this is a form of criticism, was, "I don't like the composition." And that was it. And I was going in my head going, it's like a nice way, not the nice way. It's like kind of going, and what? And so what that you don't like the composition? What am I meant to do with that? Go, "Oh, you know what? Because you don't like the composition, I should change the whole thing. I should change my mind about me liking the composition." And I was going no, that's not helpful. A helpful criticism is like, going back to the guitar solos, that G note that you've done, it's slightly out of key. You should have done your tuning better, or it's that bend on that note, you didn't get there, you didn't get whatever. Or if your novel, that grammar's wrong, that spelling's wrong, or in that piece or whatever, or that's not clear enough, I don't understand that kind of thing. But not, I don't like the composition. That is the equivalent to me of someone going, "I don't like the colour blue." And I'm going, and what? You know what I mean? I'm not going to stop using the colour blue because, you don't like it. But there is this onus that it seems, and this pressure on creative people to have to accept what other people say about their work, or else they're not being gracious, or else, he can't take any criticism. And the thing that I would like to say to people who are given criticism, or who feel the need that they have to tell other people why why there's something wrong or something, that they would have done different, is if you're going to give criticism, you have to be able to also accept that that person won't agree with you and can just say, no, I don't agree with that. And you have to be okay with that. And most people given criticism aren't at all. They don't seem to have, they say, because I'm telling you this, you have to take this because my opinion is right. And this comes back to the thing that really annoys me about people. And I'm a person, I'm including myself in this as a person. I'm, not exempt from any of these things that I talk about. On the road to being a perfect person, hopefully someday. Chances are I won't be. But it's like when I talked before about when I was going on a diet or I'm going to do exercise, and then you get these messages and things, people demanding that their way is the way to do it, and the only way to do a diet or the only way to do exercise is this. And if you say, well, counting calories is the only thing I work, they can't get that. They don't understand because it's outside. They can't see past their experience or something. And I find that odd, and that someone would, have such an opinion about how the world works that they so force it onto someone else, even when the other person says, that doesn't work in my life. This works. That doesn't. That still is this force. So it's like when it comes to criticism of, say, again, go back to a guitar solo, that people don't seem to be able to see that their tastes aren't universal tastes, or their ideas about diet aren't universal, that their ideas of exercise or magic or films or whatever, like it's weird that people just don't like that film shit, and you're going, well, it's not shit, you just didn't like it. No, it's shit. And you're going like, really? You can't see past your own opinion? And it's just something that obviously I did for years, because I was a person who said everything was shit that I didn't like, and and then I changed it to, I just don't get that. It's like there was a song out or whatever, and my initial reaction was with that shit. It was like a boy band, something, whatever. And then I just had a thought going, well, it's obviously not shit, because 20 million people bought it, enjoy it, get value out of it. Lots of people would say it's their favourite song, whatever. So it's not shit. I can't give it a value of it. I just don't understand it. I don't get it. It's not my tastes. It's not my thing. But to then critique it as being shit says more about me, I think, than other people. And the thing also about criticism and what I've experienced, I just want to point out, this is from unsolicited criticism, people just telling you things when you haven't asked. If it's a case that you're working for someone or do something for like a client or something else, and they criticize or feedback, different story, they're totally right. You're getting paid to do something, or someone else is hiring you to do something, your value, your taste, your judgments, all that, out the window. It's theirs totally. Which is why it can be very frustrating as a creative person to work with someone and collaborate with other people. I find it hard, unless I have the mindset that it's just their thing, because you're not putting you into it. You're putting them into it. You're being in a worse sense, you're being the art monkey, the music monkey, the writing monkey, whatever it is for this editor or this client. So completely different. If you've been hired to do it, none of this applies. It's totally whatever they want. But the thing about criticism that when people send it is that no one likes to be told that they're not brilliant at something ever. So they're already on the defensive when someone starts talking to them about, why they think their piece of art is shit or, needs improvement or whatever it is. So they're already kind of defensive, closed in, or whatever. And an awful lot of criticism that I've come across and I see on the internet comes and is presented in an extremely angry, hostile and aggressive manner, which I don't understand. It's like, this person, seems to come from the point of view, this person needs to be taken down a peg or two. This person needs to be, told how it is. This is for his good. I am going to go in and be heavy-handed and all that. And like often the response is, I'm just telling you how it is, or that's just the way it is if you can't handle it and all that. And there's this huge aggression that people have in giving critique. Not all people, obviously, but it's weird. I find it weird that so much so that I think it probably isn't really criticism. It's trying to, pull people back. I'm trying to, it's not, I hate when people go, oh, it's jealousy, because that's just too easy. It's way more complicated than that. It's not just jealousy, but it is like the troll thing, or thing of, I haven't got somewhere in life, so I'm going to pull this back. Now, it can also come from people who have got somewhere in life and are trying to keep people down and away from what they have achieved. Like I've come across so many creative people who put other people down so that they remain on this pedestal that they think they have. That was huge in webcomics. Like there's a couple of guys that really do that, really make it hard and say very horrible things to up and comers or whatever. Just it feels to in some way to keep their position. So it's, it can come from all angles. So what I thought I would do is have some sort of guidelines or rules that if you're going to criticize someone or something, here's what I would like as a creative, how I would like it to happen. The first one is, if the person hasn't asked for criticism, keep your mouth shut. Don't tell them. Don't send your critique, because they haven't asked for it, they don't want it, and who are you to send it to them? Like what kind of ego is going on there that you think you have to tell someone something? It'd be like, whatever your job is, if you're an accountant or whatever, and then one of your friends just come in and went, hold on a minute, I think what you're doing there is wrong, and here's why, and all that. And you're going like, fuck off, I'm doing my job, just leave me alone. I didn't ask for your opinion. So the first one would be, I would say, I've never, ever, ever critique or anything unless someone asks. Directly ask me as well, because I just, I know what it's like when, I don't want to deal with this. I don't, Anyway, the second would be, are you qualified to give this? Like, are you, it's this whole thing about knowing the difference between giving actual criticism and giving your opinion or your tastes disguised as some sort of criticism. Like, have you achieved what this person is setting out to achieve? Like, if you are critiquing someone's diet and saying you'll never do it, have you actually lost the amount of weight that this person is aiming to do? Have you achieved that? If you're critiquing someone's novel, have you written a novel? Are you in a position that you can legitimately critique this? Have you recorded a song? Have you written a song? Have you done any of these things that you're critiquing, or are you just giving your opinion from an unqualified point of view? Now, you can still have tastes and you can still go, well, in my opinion, I would prefer if the song went up key, whatever. But you're presenting that as opinion rather than actual fact. So yeah, and so then the third one is be always aware that you are giving an opinion rather than a universal thing, because it's all opinion. I've been in positions of I was a comic artist for a long while, and people who are, top professionals giving opinions about other things that it's just still is taste, and it's still opinion rather than it's wrong. It's like someone looking at in comic art, there's an awful lot of this thing where you have to do these forced perspective type things, where someone's leg or hand will be really up, and I hate it. I find it very aesthetically displeasing. I never liked it. It's the very first thing that makes me go, oh, here is a comic. It takes me out of the story, takes me out of the thing. But yet, unless you do all these things, your artwork isn't seen as dynamic or whatever. So even people from, if I showed, say, pages or whatever, and I like mid shots, I like that. That's how I like doing stuff from the point of view of how I see the world. And people go, oh no, you can't do that. That's not what a comic is, whatever. And I'm going like, that's fine. That's an opinion, and maybe I won't get far ahead if I don't do these dynamic shots. But as for my expression of me, as my art and my thing, I'm going to do what my tastes are or whatever. So even if it is a qualified professional opinion, be aware that it's still an opinion. That just because this is the way it's always done or whatever, doesn't necessarily mean it's right and all that. And beleaguering that point, I'll go on. Come back to that other thing of it always being hostile and all that. So the next one I would suggest is say it nicely. Be nice about it. Now the opposite of this is don't be overly nice about it, because that's patronising, and that's equally worse. Like, oh, I don't want to say this. Oh, it's really, and you're like as if you're making the person drag it out of them. Be nice about it. You don't have to be hostile. You don't have to be angry. You don't have to be aggressive. Just go, in my opinion, from my point of view, that guitar solo isn't the best piece of work you've ever done. And here's why. Rather than just going, I don't like the chord structure. Explain why. And why you think a better chord structure or a better thing would be. Because I don't like it is, well, what do you do with that? What is the person meant to do with that? I don't like it. Great, they have to take it gracefully. They have to accept the criticism. I don't know. Suggest things that have helped you. Thing I will always do if someone asks me for feedback, whatever, is that rather than say, oh, you're whatever it is, I will go, or like say shadow work or something. Like people ask me about, how to make magic work better or whatever. I would go, well, go look at these videos. These help me. This is about victims, playing the victim. This is about shadow work. This is about thing. Give them somewhere to go and look and develop in the thing, rather than just going, you're being a victim, sort that out. I can see that you're just being a victim there. You need to sort that out. Not helpful. Give them the resources. Point them in the direction. Let them work it out for themselves. Or not. If you're going to say something like that guitar solo, Lydian doesn't really work, back up your claims with, here's some examples of where it didn't work, why it didn't work, why Mixed Lydian would work better in that thing, rather than just going, you should do this, this, this. Have some sort of backup to it. Understand that just saying, that guitar, sorry if it's all this guitar solos thing that's in my head, that guitar solo is, shouldn't be Lydian, whatever. Have some examples of why and be able to back up rather than just giving your opinion. Yeah, so that's kind of all my notes. So basically what it comes down to is that if you are a creative person and people give you criticism, the first thing I would say is you are under absolutely zero obligation to listen to them, believe them, take on board what they say, or anything. You don't have to. Now, if you agree with them, brilliant. If it shows you something that you hadn't seen and go, oh wow, yeah, that is true, awesome. If you don't agree, you don't have to take it on board. If you love your guitar solo in G Lydian and someone says it should be Mixed Lydian or Dorian or whatever, you don't have to take that on board at all, ever. And you don't have to take it gracefully if they're not sending it to you gracefully or graciously. If you are someone who likes to criticize other people from a goodness place, from a loving place or whatever, just try to do it nicer. Try to be more constructive. Try to actually give criticism rather than your opinion or your tastes, because your opinion and your tastes aren't what that creative person should be expressing. That's what you should be expressing. That's where your art should be coming from. That's where your creativity should be coming from. Giving your soul, bearing your soul to the world, getting your ideas out there. Don't try to impose your ideas and taste on other people in the guise of criticism, because that's not what it's about. It's about your individual expression of who you are. That's what art is to me. If you're in a position that you are a professional and someone asks you for critique, be nice about it. Don't make them feel shit about it. Like that seems to be this critique thing where people need to make people feel a bit shit about what they're doing, and I've seen people do portfolio reviews and stuff and devastating the person. And I don't think that's helpful, ever. I mean, I think you can get the exact same point across to someone and have them motivated by the end of it, not wanting to give up their life and think, as I said before, about how I argue and stuff is like in my head is that I try to get it to a point where the person has a sit down and has a serious think about their life. I've seen people do portfolio reviews where they've done that to people, and I don't think that person is going home pumped about being an artist or a painter or whatever it is. I think they're going home feeling shitty about their entire lives. So while I think it's important to be open to new ideas and to be aware that you aren't always going to have the correct tools or outlooks or facilities to get your ideas out, the artist's opinion is king absolute king or queen or non-gendered royalty in the end decision of what is good in the art and what is good in the creativity and what is the best thing, because it's the artist. And remember, it's the artist bearing their soul to the world. And it's just so easy to shit in that. And there can be so many reasons why people would do that. And it's often not for the artist's best interest. It's often to do with the things I've talked about before, about bringing people down, pushing people, or, you know, asserting some sort of their taste, all that stuff I've talked about. So as an artist, as a musician, as a writer, as a fledgling photographer, as someone who has spent his entire adult life bearing his soul through creativity, I implore you, good people of the internet, to think about what you say to people who are, to creative people or any people who are doing stuff, and know that you can crush people very easily, you can demotivate people very easily, you can destroy people's creativity very easily. And to try not to do that. To try, if you are giving feedback or critique, not to tell people they're awesome when they're not awesome. I'm not saying that. But I probably would come from the point of view of, definitely, if someone hasn't asked, don't say anything. And if they have asked, to do it in a way that motivates them rather than destroys or crushes them. And that's easy. It's as easy to do to motivate someone as it is to crush them. And you can still say exact same things. You can, if someone has a terribly out of tune guitar solo, rather than going, that's totally out of tune, you're an idiot and you should, sit in the corner and think about yourself. Send some videos of, the importance of tuning, or, of tone, or, something that push them in the direction rather than destroy where they're coming from. Push them over there where it's good or whatever. And I think that's important. And I think the main thing that I learned about criticism as a creative person is that I don't have to take it if I don't want to. So, yeah. So yeah, that's a bit rambly, which is the norm for the Tommy Kelly podcast, and it's obviously something that I have issues with, and it's something that I will could be one of these podcasts I look back in 5 years and go, wow, there's a bit of anger, there is a bit of anger there, I'm very aware of that in that whole thing, and don't think I'm not. But if you liked me ranting into a camera, then you can check out, or ranting in general, you can check out the rest of the episodes of the Tommy Kelly podcast, and you can find them on adventuresinwoohoo.com, where you can also find my blog. There's links to the 47s, which is a divination and magic system I have created. There's the links to my Patreon, which you can also get at tommykelly.com, which is TOMMIE. And if you want to help out, the money from the Patreon goes to buying new equipment, to upgrading hosting, and all that kind of stuff. So it's, your money's going to, actually make all of this better, rather than, just, giving me money. Which, you can also do that if you want. So yeah, Twitter at Tommy Kelly. I'm all over Facebook with the Adventures in Woohoo page. There is a 40 Servants group. There is a 40 Shadows group that you can get to if you do the Patreon. Instagram, I'm on Flickr, I'm on Pinterest, I'm on 500px, everywhere. You can find me all over Strava. Have a look at me on Strava, where I run, badly. So yeah, good people of the internet, be kind and nice to each other and help each other out, and let's all be more creative, and let's all be happier, and all of those things. And I will talk to you all next week.